Managing your company's finances remotely is now more important than ever. With Scotia Online for Business, you can safely and quickly conduct your transactions and save on costs. Accept payments, transfer funds including third-party and wire transfers, view balances and download statements, pay bills and credit cards, make supplier payments, manage payroll, and purchase foreign exchange. Let us handle the way your business does business. Speak with a Scotia representative today. Call 888-429-5087 or email bnsj.businessbanking@scotiabank.com.
Good evening, customers. Thank you for joining us again for the second in our series for Scotia Online for Business webinar. Today will be as exciting as it was last week. We have with us, so I should introduce myself. I'm Casey Johnson Vaughan, Market Senior Manager for Small Business Professional Partnerships. And along with me today, I have some team members. We have with us Rashid Johns, he's Payment Solutions Expert. We have Tidra Johnson, Commercial Service Sales Officer for Corporate and Commercial. We have Gail Wiley, who's the Director for Global Transaction Banking. We also have Gail Mills, Assistant Manager, Trade, Finance, and Cash Management Services. Richmond McKenney, who is Product Specialist, Cash Management. So we have a very experienced team who will join us today and will take us through, one, how to do registration, also digital versus soft token, as well as how to conduct wire payments. We have two presenters here with us today. The two main presenters will be Gail. Gail will take us first through the series of the registration, and we also have Rashid, who will do the second part of the presentation, and he will look at wire payments. So Gail, we are going to invite you now to share with the team, the registration process and quickly digital versus soft token, and also upon the point of receiving the secured mail, how does someone access the platform? So Gail, over to you.
Thank you so much, Casey. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Today, this evening, I'm going to show you the steps. Once you have been added as a user online, you will receive a secure email. Within that secure email, you will see a very long alphabet mixed with numbers, which is your reference number. So here's a sample of the email. It's coming from No Reply at Scotiabank, and the subject will be Scotia Online for Business registration information. And please bear in mind, no time beats the present. The reference number, will expire in 30 days. So without delay, please, as you get the reference number, log in. The link for the Scotia Online site is right there within your email, and go ahead and register. So here are the steps. So once you've actually logged in to the site, I'll show you a snippet of the site after, you will be asked, one second. Here's a sample of how the site looks. So you'll put in your username. You'll select register now. So once you've selected register now, you're going to have two lines that you must complete. You will copy and paste the reference number from your email, and below you have a secret word. You should also have received that in your email, in a separate email. If, however, you are a user that was added not by our team, but by one of your administrators, you can ask your administrator what is the authorization code or secret word that they would have given you. So going back to the presentation, you will continue to register. And before, however, if you have not downloaded your token or received a physical token, here's what you have to do. For the digital token, it uses the phone. So whether you have an Android or an iPhone, we have the solution for you. So the Apple phone, you would go to the Apple Store and you would search for a digital token. Likewise, Android, visit the Google Play Store, do a search for digital token. There you will see a host of tokens for Scotiabank and other banks and other institutions. And you will select the icon that is a white background with a black Scotiabank logo and install. Once you have installed, an icon will come up on your desktop, just like this on my phone, and you will leave it there until you're absolutely ready to register. However, if you choose the physical token, you will request a token through one of your GTB or Global Transaction Banking salespersons, such as myself or Rithmond or Tedra or whoever it is in your country or in your district, and you will be able to receive that token within 24 to 48 hours. Please note on the back of your token, you have a serial number that begins with GALT and it has numbers. Please ignore the ones below. Now note, it is very important that when you're registering and inputting your serial number for the physical token, those GALT are all caps. Exactly as you see it on the back of the token is exactly as you should input it while registering. So of course, you'll be asked for either a secret word or authorization code. If you remember, let me show you on the registration screen, you have here reference number, authorization code, or secret word, not two. It's either one or the other. So you'll be asked once you continue, it's a very user-friendly site. You'll then be asked to create your own username. You would have gotten a username with your first and last name with a lot of numbers behind it, but you can choose to input and create your own username. The company administrator's ability will also allow them to create users. They can reset or unlock users. They can modify user profiles as well. So once you have registered, and be very careful when you're inputting your reference number and your password, because the system is very sensitive. If you have a space or even put a wrong finger touch on the wrong button, it's going to give you an error message. But not to worry, just take it easy and just input it slowly. Okay, so once you would have gone in now, you have questions that you must answer when you're registering. So there's 20 different questions that you can choose from in your drop down, and they're very easy, such as your favorite place, where do you want to where you went to high school, where prep school, whichever, and you just input. No special characters are allowed, such as commas, dashes, question marks, exclamation, asterisks, etc. And you just follow the steps. So once you get to the second page, you should see for the digital token users, you should see a barcode appearing at the very bottom of the screen just before continue. That is when you will take your phone, go to the token app, and you will sign in with your own PIN for the phone, and there you'll be allowed to now enter the app. Here it is, if you can see it. And you will then press the plus at the very top right and take a picture to add that token. You're going to literally take a picture of the barcode on your laptop screen when you're registering. And in case you do forget any of these steps, you can feel free to reach out to our team, and we'll be more than happy to help you. So continue to follow the steps, select your questions, and then you will reach to the third page and you would have successfully registered. So let me tell you a little bit about company administrator functions. The company system administrator can actually create users, and if you've forgotten your password after you have actually logged in or your questions, that company system administrator can reset your password or your questions. And they can also modify your users. For example, if you were only viewing only, your company system administrator can go into the specific profile and modify the profile to allow you to view more accounts, or you can actually modify to more features as well, such as maybe transferring, creating payments, or even paying credit cards. So a little bit more of what you see once you have signed in is what we call information reporting. So literally it tells you about your accounts, information about your accounts, and you can see a host of different features. We have the ability to see statements for 12 months. It's a new feature that we just added about maybe 2 or 3 months ago. So that's a really cool feature that we didn't have before, where you can actually pull down your statements. If you have 20, 30, 10, 5 different accounts, you can see history up to 12 months ago. It's a PDF version. You can save them on soft copy, print them, or we'd rather if you save them and save paper. And you can also choose to unmask your accounts. Now, by unmask, I mean that if you don't want to have the full account just for security reasons showing, your company system administrator can actually choose to mask the accounts. So only a portion of the account number will show. You can also view balances and transactions. You can actually do a search for particular amounts, just putting in the icon. There is a calendar icon that you can choose from to. There's also a lot of features such as cross-currency transfers. We have cross-currency transfers, which allows you, the users, if you are enabled, to transfer your Jamaican to US of your own internal accounts. And of course, there's third-party transfers. Should you wish to transfer outwards, you can also use this feature. We also have disbursements as well as direct deposit, which is payroll or just Jamaican dollar payments. And there's transfer between accounts as well. Now, transfer between accounts works for those of you who may have internet banking personally. You can transfer money to pay your credit cards, transfer between accounts if you need to top up each one. And it's just really a very easy click of the mouse feature. Okay, so if you have any questions, we leave them for the end, and I'm going to hand back to Casey. Thanks so much.
So thank you, Gail, for walking through that process. Gail, would you mind sharing with us, just to share the screen, just for us to see what the login page will look like again, just for our users to be clear. And just want to say that that our customers that are joining us today, we have from Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cayman Islands, Jamaica. So we have 4 countries that are here with us today, and so we may have questions from different persons across the various countries, and our expert team will be able to answer any question that you have, just to make sure that everything is clear and to make sure that we answer everything that you need to know. If we're not able to answer them today, what we will do is share with you at the end of the program some contact information, email addresses and phone numbers that you may call. And from those numbers or email addresses, you'll be able to send in your request to, and we will respond as quickly as possible. Gail, thank you again very much. I was just asking if you're able to share your screen just to show pretty much what the Scotia Online page looks like when the persons log on. And then after that, Gail, then we move straight into Rashid. Rashid is now going to be talking and walking us through how to conduct wire payments. So Gail, would you like us to show us back the page, what the Scotia Online page looks like?
1 sec. Okay, so here's where you would actually be taken to. Thanks, Casey. So
Right.
Once you've gotten your reference number, there is some writing in the middle, and here you have it right here. It's a very bold register now. So the screen that I was on before, it will take you to that screen, and there you'll input your registration number. And
Gail,
also, yes.
Gail, are you going to share the screen with us for
Sure.
us to see? Okay.
Sure. Okay, so say that I've registered already, which I have. I'm going to now put in my token value.
Right.
Second, I'm using my phone app. And here you have it. Can you see the numbers?
Right, we're seeing the numbers.
Numbers,
That's the soft token numbers.
The token on the soft token. Now, bear in mind that this soft token is you have one, you can add many different companies. If you're a user on several companies, you can use this one phone app and just keep adding. And you notice that you do have a CMS and a number right under the token value. And you can use a pencil and actually input, say, company number 1, and then if you have another one you're going to register for, you have company number 2, and on this one device you can access internet banking. So this token value changes every 30 seconds. So I'm going to put my token value in. There. Sometimes you may get this, but you just try again. Yes.
Okay. So Gail, what I want to say, thank you. What I'm going to do is just remind our customers, last week we would have done this actual process with Rashid, and we also did a video, and the video would have shown Rashid going through several different points and presentations. So I'm going to remind our customers just to go to the YouTube page, and you'll find that at that video. In fact, it was shared with all the customers who attended the webinar last week, so they can go and just watch and see the steps. Pretty much how when you get onto the website, the different pages, and how you'll be able to access and what it looks like when you get into the platform. So Gail, thank you very much again.
You are welcome. In fact, Casey, if I could just show, because I actually just logged in a while ago,
right?
Just what the screen looks like. And bear in mind that I did get an error message, but I tried again. I think I just typed a little bit too fast. So bear that in mind, audience, that you do have error messages. But this is how the dashboard looks. So at the very beginning, you have a dashboard, and you have all, depending on what the features are, you will have information reporting, payments, account management, administration. Only the administrators will have this tab, preferences, and below you have funds transferred, create payment, message center. Now you notice that there are 2 messages here that our team would have sent. They are, I haven't cleared my box, I must say, but there are important notices that we will send you from time to time. And on this dashboard, you also see all of the different features that may have been added, such as bill payment, which allows you to pay utility bills, such as your light, water, phone, cable. And you also have collections. Collections are for those you want to direct debit directly.
Right.
And of course, you'd have gotten their permission by writing to do so. Disbursements is any local payment here. Direct deposit we call payroll. And there is also recipients, the ability to create recipient, because you do have to create a recipient to receive the money, and templates. And you have the rates of the day as well, the major currencies. And here on the right, you have the account. So I'm going to choose one of our accounts, and it actually gives you the ability.
Gail?
Yes.
Okay, so we're actually not able to see your screen.
Oh, you're not?
What you're sharing right now? No, we're not. So
okay.
What it is that, so we're not able to see your screen. But what I wanted us to remind our customers, as I said earlier, is that they can actually go, and we will send you a link following today's webinar, just to remind you of the first one where you'll be able to see all the demonstration, as well as this webinar. We'll share both the links for both webinars, which are on YouTube, so you'll be able to go and see after. So we're just going to move over into Rashid, since we're not able to see your screen, Gail, but we'll be able to answer any questions at the end from customers. And so Rashid is now going to walk us through the wire payments, and we'll take the questions afterwards from the customers. So thank you so much again, Gail.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Do.
Okay. So Rashid, over to you now.
Hi, thanks again, Casey, and very nice, Gail. Now, today, we will be going through the wire payments function on the Scotia Online for Business platform. Now, with the wire payment service, you'll be able to send both local and international payments on the system. However, before we actually go into the platform, what I would like to highlight are key terms as it relates to wire payments. Now, one of the main functions of this online system is to send the local wires. What this entails is that you're able to send foreign currency payments to other accounts to banks locally. You won't be able to send a US dollar or a GBP payment across to another bank via the RTGS nor ACH network. It will have to be done via the wire payment option. Additionally, for all of these local wire payments, it is mandatory for an intermediary bank to be on the payment. Okay. Now, additionally, I would just like to add that for the intermediary banks, it is not mandatory for international payments. However, if you do have that information, it would be good to enter it while you're doing the payment. Okay. Now, one of the first things that I would like to do as it relates to the platform is to ensure that whenever you're enrolled for the service, is that your users are enrolled for the service also. Now, as a company system administrator, by default, once a service or feature has been added, it will automatically be added to your user profile. However, if you have additional users on the system and they require this service, especially if there is a creation and approval method on this platform, you would have to enable that service for that user. Now, what I'm going to do is walk you through how to ensure that the users who should be doing wire payments are enabled. Now, when you sign in, all you would have to do is select administration, click on the user who you want to modify or view their profile. Once you're on the user profile, you're going to go to the lower left of the screen. You're going to click on select action, modify, and submit. Now, once you're on the user profile screen, what you're going to need to select is wire recipients, and you're going to select maintain. Now, when you select maintain, that user will have the ability to create a wire recipient. Additionally, if the wire recipient feature requires an approval and the approval box is there, you can go ahead and select that also. Then you would go down to templates, because what you can do is to group the wire, well, not group the wire payments, but you can group a wire beneficiary and an intermediary bank into a template. If that's the way forward, you can go ahead and select access and maintain for template also. And finally, you will need to select access and maintain for wire payments for users who will be on the system to create wire payments. Additionally, if they're going to also be an approver for the wire payment service, you would also select approve. All right, so that's the first thing that I would really like to clear up, because sometimes the services are added to the platform, but you're not seeing it, or a user on your profile is not seeing it. So now we're going to go into the meat of the matter, which is how to create a wire payment. Now, basically, in the initial stages, there are 3 steps. 1, we would have to ensure that the beneficiary's bank and the intermediary bank is created on the system. Once they're created on the system, you no longer need to create them again. Additionally, say you create a Bank of America on the system and it has the US SWIFT code in it. It doesn't matter the address of the bank. Once this is the same Bank of America with the same SWIFT, you won't need to recreate that bank, regardless of the address, okay? Very important. Secondly, in creating a wire payment, you would then have to create the wire recipient or the beneficiary on the system. And then finally, you can go ahead and create the wire payment. Now, the good thing is, once you've created the bank and the beneficiary on the system, going forward, all you would need to do is to just go ahead and create the wire payment, and that's it. It takes less than a minute. Now, how to create a bank, right? Now, whenever you're going to do a wire payment, you would normally have the wire recipient or the beneficiary's information on hand, which includes their address and account information, along with their bank and their bank's address. Now, to create this bank on the system, all you need to do is to go to the Payments tab, select Banks, and to the far right, you're going to see a tab there that says Add Bank. You're going to click on that, and below, you're going to see an area that says Bank Information to be completed. Now, when you're completing this section, it is important to note that you will just put the bank name in the bank name field along with the SWIFT in all uppercase. The routing number is not mandatory. You will complete the address portion of the screen. It includes the city, country, state, and zip code is optional. Once you've completed all the fields and everything is correct, you can then proceed to select add to personal bank list here at the bottom. Now, once you've added the bank or banks to the system, because again, if it requires an intermediary bank, you would have to also create the intermediary bank at that stage. Now, once you've created the bank on the system, this is where we go ahead and create the wire payment beneficiary or the recipient on the system. Now, to do so, what you'll do again is to go to payments, select recipients, and to the far right, you're going to see two tabs, import recipient and create recipient. For wire recipients, you can only create them on the system. So you're going to select create recipient. When you get the option to select the recipient type, please make note that you will normally be given 3 options if you have like the direct deposit, the disbursements, and wire payments. For wire recipients, you definitely have to select wire in the drop-down menu, then select set recipient type. So as a recipient created on the system for a disbursement cannot be used in a wire payment. Only recipients set up or designated as a wire recipient you will be able to select when you're doing the wire payment. Now, in creating the wire recipient, there are some mandatory fields here. The first one being the recipient name, of course, and the second one, the recipient ID. The recipient ID is a unique field, and you can enter anything in that field to easily identify that recipient, which makes them unique. So it can be their TRN number, their social security number, a nickname, anything can be used that can be used to easily identify this recipient. Now, unlike creating an individual or business recipient where the address field is not mandatory, for all wire recipients, it is a mandatory section. If you notice here, everything here has an asterisk. So it is important that you have the beneficiary's information and address on hand. Sorry. Next, you go down to the account information section. Now, for this area, the account type, whether it's a checking or savings, it's not mandatory. So you can always omit that section. However, for the account number field, you're going to have to enter the account number as is. And if it is a designated IBAN account, you would just select that checkbox. And IBAN accounts are normally accounts that are maintained at banks within Europe. Lastly, you will just select the currency. And below, once you've selected wire recipient as a recipient type, what will come up is the list of personal banks or the banks that you have created on the system. So if you had created a Bank of America prior, you're going to see Bank of America here, and you can just select it from the drop-down menu. However, say it's a local wire recipient that you're going to be paying. What you can do, where you see search banks, you can always select the drop-down menu, select domestic banks, and then select update list, and you will see all the listing of the available commercial banks. And you can just select the respective bank to add to the recipient. Once you've completed, you can just select submit and confirm, and the recipient will be created. If it requires an approval, it will be on the system pending approval. Now, in regards to the wire payment, it's the first 2 steps again. So 1, you'll go to payments. Then you're going to select create payment this time. So you won't select recipients nor bank. You're going to go directly to create payment. Now, once you're on the create payment screen, under one-time payment, you're going to select the drop-down menu, and you're going to select wire payment and then create payment beside of that. If it is that you had created a template for that wire recipient, or when a wire recipient, but wire beneficiary, sorry, you can select the beneficiary from the drop-down menu above, which is under select template. Now, once you've selected wire payment and selected create payment, you will be brought to the payment screen. Now, this is where you would complete the section, which includes the wire payment name. So you can even put back the beneficiary's name here, the date that you want the payment to be processed. So remember, you can always future date the wire payment. Okay. You're going to select the account that you want to make the payment from. Now, please note, if you have selected a US dollar account, it will draw directly from that. And you're making a US dollar payment, it will draw the exact funds from your US dollar account. However, if you're making a payment from another currency account, the equivalent of that day, that's the value that will be debited from your account. Okay. After that, you will select the amount that you're going to pay, the currency of the transaction, and the remittance info. So this would include the reason for the wire payment, along with any additional information you would like to add. Now, if it is that you're adding a recipient and the name, when you're trying to add the recipient, the name was too long, you can always enter the full name in this remittance info area. You can also enter the routing number or any further credit to information within the remittance info area. Now, if it is that an intermediary bank is necessary for this payment or mandatory, you can select Add Intermediary Bank here. And this will give you the listing of all the banks that you had created, not the domestic banks. Only the banks that you had created on the system, you will see appear once you select Add Intermediary Bank. And you can only add one intermediary bank to the payment, only one. Now, once you've found the bank to be added, you just select the checkbox and you're going to see the option below to add intermediary bank. And once you've done that, you will see it pop up here. Next, we would have to add the beneficiary or the wire recipient to the payment. For that, you will just select Add Recipients, and a listing of only wire recipients will be available on the system. And you can please note that you can only add one beneficiary to a wire payment. Now, once you've found the wire recipient, you just select the checkbox, select Add Recipient, and both the intermediary bank and the beneficiary will be in the payment. What you're going to do next is to just submit and review all the information before hitting confirm. Once you've hit confirm, the payment will be sent for processing. And again, going forward, once you've created a bank and a recipient on the system, there's no need to recreate them each time. So every time that you're going to do a wire payment to these recipients, all you would have to do is just go to Payments, Create Payment, select Wire Payment, and then proceed to just fill in the information here, submit and confirm. Okay, and basically that is it for the wire payments for Scotia Online for Business.
So
sure,
Rashid,
go ahead.
Thank you so much for that. But what I would like for you to do now, Rashid, is just to quickly log on to the actual site itself, just to show customers from when they would log on, how they get onto the page, and then in fact how they would literally find this the wire payments in the platform. So you had the screenshots up, which were great. But what I would want is for you to just do a live demonstration quickly for us so the customers will know pretty much how they get on.
Sure, I can do that. Can you give me 1 minute? Let me just get that up.
Sure. So while Rashid is actually getting ready to show us the actual demonstration, what he will also just show you is when you have received your token reference number, you now log in onto the page, and you get onto the page by entering all the correct details, already having your digital token and entering all of that, what Gail said earlier. Rashid now is just going to show you having his username and his password. He would log into the system, and then he will actually show you now, having logged in, what it will look like.
All right. All right, so I am logging in now. I'm going for my token value. And again, please note, when you're entering your username and password, if you get an error before it prompts you for the token value, please to check your username and password. Once the username and password is correct, that is when you will get the option to enter your token value. All right, these are just generic. All right, so what I'm going to do first, I'm going to walk you through the process to add a bank to the system. So again, for that process, what we will do is go to payments, select the sub tab that says banks.
So Rashid,
sure,
just to help you, just to go back. So the customer would have logged on already using their username and their password. They get into the system. We're moving now to payment section, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the first thing that we're going to be doing, we will be adding the bank, because this is the first step in doing a wire payment.
Okay.
So once we selected banks, we're going to select add bank. And then this is where you would enter the information for the bank, whether the beneficiary's bank or the intermediary bank, right?
And so Rashid, just to support you,
sure.
I'm seeing at the top where we have the different branches from the countries. So if you're from Cayman, you'll see the list of Cayman branches. And if you're from Bahamas or TCI, you'll see the list of your branches. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sure, no problem, Kesia. Thanks for that. Now, once you've entered the information here, you will select add to personal bank list, and they will be added to the listing of banks on the system. And all of these banks will be under your personal bank listing. The second step is to create the recipient. For that, again, let me just go back to the dashboard. You go to payments, recipients, and then create recipient. Now, please note there is important information at the top of the screen that will give you an update about SWIFT and the special characters not being allowed when you're creating a wire recipient. Very important. It's not allowed for the wire recipients nor the payment itself. All right. Then I'm gonna select wire, then set recipient type. And here now, this is where you will create the beneficiary on the system. So you would enter the beneficiary name, and you can just put a number or anything that can easily identify the recipient, the address.
So Rashid, just to be clear, just want me to understand and the customers to understand that recipient ID could be any number generated by you?
It can be anything. Again, it can be a unique name.
Right.
It can be their TRN.
Okay.
It can be an abbreviated name. Anything that can easily identify this recipient.
Okay. Continue.
Thanks. Okay, so once you've entered the address of the beneficiary, you would enter the account number. Again, let me go back up. The address field is mandatory. And depending on the country you choose, sometimes the state will not be available for selection. So let me show you here. All right, so the state's coming up with that one. So I had selected Gibraltar and the state option was nulled out or grayed out, okay? Then we would go down to the account section. Again, you would enter the account number as is, no dashes, no number signs, just the number and no spaces. If the account number is a designated IBAN account number, you would just select this option here. And again, IBAN accounts are normally accounts maintained in the European banks. You would select the currency of the account. And then select your bank. Once you've selected the bank, the information will appear in the bank information screen, and then you will select submit and then confirm. Once you've added the recipient, it will then be added to the master recipient listing, right? And then the final step is now to create the wire payment. So for that, from the dashboard, you can either go to payments, then create payment, or you can select create payment directly from the dashboard. Under one-time payment, you're going to select wire payment, create payment, and before I proceed, there is an important notice here. Now, to avoid any delays in processing your payment, if the beneficiary customer's name exceeds 35 characters, please utilize the remittance information field to input the entire name along with the purpose of the payment. So it's just like I had mentioned before. If the name is too long when you're creating the recipient, please feel free to just add the full name in the remittance info area below. Okay?
So let's take an example, Rashid. You say it should be 35 characters. And if we should say if we should choose the name of a company called Global Transaction Business Associates, that would obviously be more than 35 characters, right?
Correct.
So what you're saying, if when you're entering that customer's name, you're probably only able to enter Global Transaction Biz. When you're actually now going to enter the actual transfer payment, you're now going to click in this section that says remittance, purpose of payment, the name of the full name of the company.
Full name.
Okay.
And you can just proceed.
Okay.
All right. Now, additionally, again, we would select the name, payment, the effective date for the wire payment. Again, you can future date the wire payment. Select the account that you want to pay from, the amount, the currency, payment, and then we will select the intermediary bank. All right, sorry. Let's see this one too. All right, so I'm gonna add, say, JP Morgan Chase, add intermediary bank.
Yeah.
Now, here's a field that is also not mandatory. Not all intermediary banks come in regards to payments come with an account number. So if you weren't given an account number by your beneficiary, please do not add any information here. Okay. Now, once you've added the intermediary bank, you're then going to proceed to select add recipients. Then you will just select the recipient from the listing. And again, all you would see is wire recipients on the system, and you can only select one. Now, once you've completed all of the required sections, that is when you can just select submit. Once you've selected submit, you can then proceed to confirm the wire payment. Okay. So Kesia, I think that is it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rashid, for walking us through that very detailed process. I'm sure it was very helpful for our customers just to know how to conduct wires. So our team is here. As we mentioned, we have with us Gail, who did earlier, Gail Mills, earlier, who spoke on the login registration process. We have Tidro, who is from Bahamas, and we also have Rithman along with Rashid. So what we're going to do now is take questions from our customers, and we will, our members of our team here will answer the questions from the various customers. So one person just asked the question, what is the cutoff time for submitting international wire transfer, and how long does it take to process? One, is there a difference in processing time from JM, which is Jamaican dollars, versus US account? So first part of the question is, what is the cutoff time for doing international wires, and how long does it take? Who would like to take that from the team? Yes, go ahead.
So each country has their own different cutoff times, depending on their exchange control, I guess, policies. In the Bahamas, our cutoff time for international wires, I believe, is 12:30. So we would want the customers to complete their wires online prior to 12:30 for it to be processed the same day. If it's processed after 12:30, it would be done and sent out the next business day. I would like to add some context to what Rashid did. Thanks again, Rashid, for the walkthrough. For the Bahamas clients, we would want to reiterate, given our central bank policies, we need, generally, when you want to do a wire, a lot of times there's either a requirement for an invoice or a requirement for central bank approval. And as such, these documents can be forwarded to the inbox. The inbox would be bsc.customersupport.com. So once you complete the wires online, you could then go ahead and forward the corresponding documents to that inbox. And again, the inbox is bsc.customersupport@scotiabank.com.
Okay, thanks, Rithman. We will actually share that information also at the end with all the different countries and the email box that you can send requests to, as well as the numbers to call. So thank you, Rithman. Just as it relates to Jamaica, do you remember the cutoff time, Rashid?
Sure, the time is 1 p.m.
Okay, so that's 1 p.m. for Jamaica. And how long does it take to process? Can someone else would like to respond to that? How long does it take to process a wire payment?
All right, well, normally if there are no issues with the payments, it would take between 24 to 48 hours to be processed.
Okay, so are there any difference in processing time from Jamaica versus Jamaican dollars versus a US account? There is no difference, right, team?
No, there isn't really any difference, no.
Okay.
But then for the Bahamas, let me add a bit of context. If you don't local currency, there is a later cutoff time. The later cutoff time, if you're sending B dollars, the later cutoff time would be 2 o'clock.
Okay.
So there would be no need for a SWIFT because it's in local currency to a local bank.
Okay. Great. Rashid, you have mentioned that sometimes there may be challenges with a wire going through. Can you just educate the customers for me on, what would be some of the challenges? What would cause a wire not to go through? Well, maybe the top 3 or 4 reasons.
Well, I think the primary reason is insufficient funds in their account. That is one. Two, the payment would have been processed. However, there isn't sufficient information, such as the bank address might not be completed. They're sending it to a PO box, which is not recommended. They do not send wire payments to PO box addresses, and sometimes the receiving bank has an issue with the account information, and they will send it back, and the local BSCs or the respective BSCs will then reach out to the sender to see if they can provide additional information.
Okay. Anyone else would like to add anything else, or that's it?
That's it. Sorry.
Right. For Bahamas, one of our issues will be whereas customers are not sending their invoices, at the same time they submit the wire.
Right.
Okay.
So that's
critical.
that's
they should have
thing.
the invoices.
Right.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Just to clarify, though, invoices are only required when the wires are coming from a BSD account. If you have a US account and you're sending a wire from that US account, there's no requirement for an invoice or central bank approval, and as such, there's no need to send that email. The wire would go straight through. Right. Okay. Just to clarify.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification, Rithman. Just to follow up on that question, when would one need a wire transfer as to opposed to a regular payment to a company?
So two things. Generally, the wire transfers are done when you are sending funds out of country for an international payment to a supplier or those, I guess, sorts, as well as if it's a local payment. If the country is an ACH payment and if that payment is over $1 million, there's also a requirement to send that as a wire because that's outside of the ACH parameters. So those are generally the two main reasons as to why a customer would send a wire as opposed to, I guess, a local ACH transfer.
Okay. All right. Another question I got from a customer is, can we register a school account as a pay bill so parents can make payments in the same way they would pay a bill, like a normal utility bill?
Yes, they can be set up as a bill payment merchant. We actually have a special going on right now. So what we can do is to send the email to the respective box, and an agent or officer will reach out to you.
Okay, excellent. Apparently a customer was trying to go along with you, Rashid, while you were doing the demonstration. And the customer said, I don't have that tab to add recipient. Does that mean I am not authorized?
All right, good question. So you remember when I started the presentation, the first tab I took you guys through was the administration tab. Now, once you click on that tab and then click on your name, you'll be able to see the services that you're enabled for. Now, if it is that wire payment was added and not added to your profile, what you can do is go to select action in the lower left of your user profile, select modify, then submit to the far right. Now you will be brought to your user profile edit screen, and you will see all the services that you can access. Now, if you don't see wire payment in that listing, that means wire payment is not a feature on your internet banking profile. And you can just reach out to your respective business banking officer or GTB officer for them to assist in gaining that service. Now, if you see the wire payment service there are three things that you will need to select. One, you will need to select access and maintain for recipients, access and maintain for wire payments, and access and maintain for templates. Once you've selected that, you can then select submit and confirm. What will happen is that you will have to sign out and sign back in, and once you do that, you will be enabled for the wire payment service. But again, if you're not seeing it, you can always reach out to your respective business banking officer or GTB officer for their assistance in attaining the service.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rashid, for answering that question. Another question is, do you need an intermediary bank for local wires? Anyone from the team? No. Okay.
The short answer is no. Yeah. No.
Okay. Another question is, we currently use a physical token, but how do we migrate to a digital token? And also, if we previously did not have access to processing wires in our setup, do we have requests? Well, you answered that question about do we have to request access separately? So yes, they'd have to request access separately for the wires, but the other part of the question, you have a physical token. How do you migrate to a digital token?
Okay, I'll take that one, Casey.
Sure.
So thanks for that question as well. So yes, you can migrate if you so desire to move from the physical device. You simply have to have your administrator update or modify your profile to a digital token. You would also have to download the app and you'd get a reference number and you choose register now once you have received that reference number, and your administrator can provide the secret word or your authorization code on your profile, which would have likely changed.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Gail. Do appreciate that. Okay. Another question I was asked is, how soon after sending a wire will I get a confirmation? Anyone from the team would like to answer that?
Generally, once the wire is debited from your account, that lets you know that the wire has actually been processed. And as such, you should get a confirmation same day. So the first thing is for the customers to note as to whether or not their account has actually been debited, because Rashid and I would have noted sometimes there may be delays. And your account would not be debited until everything is in order and the wire is sent out. So that's your first notification that the wire has been processed. Once you notice that your account has been debited, generally you should have received that confirmation before end of day. If you have a delay, you can definitely reach out to the team, and we can go ahead and provide you with that confirmation.
Okay.
And I would just like to add, thanks for that, Rickman. I'd just like to add that normally the confirmations are sent via secure email. So please make note of that. Once you send off a wire payment, and if you see an email from EMS at Scotiabank within a couple hours after, it could be the wire payment confirmation. So always look out for that EMS at scotiabank.com email once you've processed a wire payment.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Rashid. If I have a US account, can I wire funds to it? Does it have to be a payment? Who would like to take that question?
I think we need additional clarity to that question.
Okay.
If you're sending funds to the beneficiary, in this scenario, the beneficiary is your US account, there may not be a need to wire it unless the funds are coming outside of Scotiabank. And if it's with Scotiabank from your local currency to the US account, that facility is done by way of cross currency. So again, we would need to ensure that that feature is enabled, either at your profile or even within the country, because some countries do not allow that cross currency transfer to be done. And as such, you might have to do it as a wire. So again, it's easier to probably reach directly out to the sales officer to get some clarity on your request.
Okay. Another question that I have for you, team. The question is, if I am transferring funds from my IBAN account in Europe to Jamaica, do I have to use an intercepting US bank? Rashid or Gail or someone else from the team?
That's on the receiving end. Now, with the receiving end, it depends on the bank that they're sending the funds from. Because if it is that Scotiabank and that specific European bank has a banking relationship, that intermediary bank is not required.
Okay. Thank you.
Right? So it just depends on the relationship. No problem.
Okay. The other question is, how can I transfer from my US account? I guess it's a further clarification of what he asked earlier, from their US account to their Scotia business account. So I'm assuming that the customer is saying maybe they have a US personal account and they transfer into the Scotia business account. They're asking, how can they transfer?
Okay, I'll take that one. So if
Go
you
ahead,
have
Gail.
US accounts both on the Scotiabank platform, that would not constitute a wire payment because you would be on the same bank's platform and you would use your disbursement feature to move funds, US funds from your US account, your company's business account, to your other Scotiabank US account. So that would not be a wire once it's on the same bank platform.
Okay, thank you, Gail. I believe this question may not be for now. Next week we'll be going through batch payments, but the customer is asking, how do I go about setting up my company to be a bill payment recipient? Next week we should walk through that, right, Rashid and team?
No, the bill payment recipient is similar to what was asked earlier about being a bill payment merchant. So what this feature is that when you go to do a bill payment, normally you would select your utility companies. They want to be added to that listing.
Okay.
Yes. So I guess at the end of the presentation, when the respective emails are sent out, they can always email the respective box for additional clarification and guidance in how to be set up or enrolled for that service.
Okay, so this is one other question. I tried to transfer money from my business account to personal account I submitted, but nothing happened. Can someone explain what would the customer need to do? I transferred money from my business account to personal account, but nothing happened. I guess they're not seeing any, that the transaction did not go through. Not sure why that would happen.
The easiest way to check to see if a transfer will go through, you can go to the payments tab and look at the payment history. And the payment history will let you know that whether or not it was successful or if it was rejected. And if it was rejected, generally would give you a reason as to why, maybe that the account number was incorrect, or there may not be sufficient funds on the account. So generally, those are the two common reasons as to why it was rejected, and as such, no payment left. So the first thing I would encourage them to do is to check their payment history to see if it actually was confirmed that the payment was sent.
Okay. All right. So thank you, team. We're actually at the end of today's meeting. And I just want to share some reminders with our customers that will help them. One, we will actually prepare, we have a manual, what I would say manual of the various transactions that we have done so far. So last week would have gone through information reporting, looking at how you do the process of registration. And this week we went through wire payments. We will actually send every one of our customers who would have registered for this webinar and would have been a part of it. You'll get the actual step guide to show you how to conduct wire payments, as well as how to set up your accounts with instructional guide, which also includes screenshots. In addition to that, we're going to be providing on the screen, you will see a list of the email boxes where you can send your queries to, and our team will respond to you. So if you'd like to be enrolled for business banking, if you have not enrolled already, you can send an email to that inbox. If you'd like to be upgraded from one to get an additional service, or to move from the CMS Lite package to the small business package, you can send an email to those inboxes. We will actually have someone from our team call you. It's important for you to reach out to your business banker now to ask for whatever assistance that you need. The business banker will redirect you to the right channel as to how to address your questions. We will also share with you the YouTube link from today's meeting, where you'll actually see whatever was demonstrated earlier. You will actually see that on the link. From the previous meetings, which was held last week, we'll also share with you that YouTube link, which will show you what we looked at, what third-party transfer, information reporting, and the process of registration last week. And for our next webinar, which will be held next week, Tuesday, we will be focusing on batch payments. And for that, we'll share with you how to add, how to pay your bills, how to pay your supplier. Rashid and team, would you like to want to remind them of any additional things that would include in batch payments? Is there anything else that we'd want to include?
Sure. So you'll be able to pay to both an individual and business account. You'll be able to do it in batches. Additionally, we will also go through the process of how to upload to the system, whether via a CSV file, which is basically you just inputting the information in an Excel sheet, saving it, and then uploading to the system. This can be done for both recipients or the actual payment itself. And then for companies that have an actual payroll software, we're going to show you how to, well, you can always display the file specifications on how to create an ACH file to upload to the system. So we will be covering everything in its entirety for batch payments.
Okay, thank you, Rashid, for supporting that. So as you can see, this is our Scotia Online webinar series. The aim of this series is to help you, to show you how to navigate the platform, to answer all your questions and queries regarding online banking, and for our team of experts to help you in whatever way possible to make your online banking easy. As you know, in this very challenging time, we want to ensure that all of our customers have access to online banking, so you'll be able to carry out your banking needs on a daily basis. And just want to remind you to take a look on the screen right now. If you have queries or questions, you can call any of the numbers on screen or send an email to any of the email addresses that you're seeing on your screen right now, and we on our team will respond to you in a very timely manner. I want to thank you for joining us today. We really do appreciate you and look forward to seeing you next week as we go through batch payments and ensuring that you understand how to do various payments. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, team members, for being here with us. Thank you, customers from across the various countries, TCI, Cayman, Bahamas, and Jamaica, for joining us. And I am Casey Johnson Vaughn, your Senior Manager for Small Business, and we'll look forward to ensuring that we help you to make your business banking the easiest ways possible. Thank you again for joining us.
Managing your company's finances remotely is now more important than ever. With Scotia Online for Business, you can safely and quickly conduct your transactions and save on costs. Accept payments, transfer funds including third-party and wire transfers, view balances and download statements, pay bills and credit cards, make supplier payments, manage payroll, and purchase foreign exchange. Let us handle the way your business does business. Speak with a Scotia representative today. Call 888-429-5087 or email bnsj.businessbanking@scotiabank.com.